Tonight, we find ourselves in South Pasadena, where in 1978, John Carpenter made a little horror movie that you might have heard of called Halloween. This house that we're standing in front of, this is where Michael Myers lived. This is where Michael Myers killed his older sister. And right here in front of these steps, pretty much right where I'm standing, this is where Michael Myers was ultimately captured. A very young Will Sandin. We met him a couple months ago. Now here's the thing. This house wasn't always here. They actually moved this house here to preserve it. How cool is that? But here's the thing. We're not here in South Pasadena tonight because of Halloween. Instead, we're here for a different slasher movie, one called Scream.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Behind the Myers house is a place called SugarMynt Gallery, and tonight is their opening night for their Scream art exhibit. They promise art and a certain ambiance, and we're taking you in there. Now, what's really cool about this, today is the opening of the new Scream movie, Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it. We saw it last night. It was phenomenal. We actually got to see it in the same theater with David Arquette, who was Dewey, the director of the new movie, as well as Kevin Williamson, the guy who wrote the original Scream. This is our very first time visiting the SugarMynt Gallery, and I'm very excited because you and I both love the movie Scream. But before we head over there, let's show the viewers some pictures and video from last night.
How's everybody doing? What did you guys think of the movie? That's awesome, right? Well, we've got some amazing people here tonight, and let's start with the creator, the god of Scream, Kevin Williamson. And coming up next, the director of the film, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, and Dewey Riley. David, you get the script. What do you know going into it? Do you know anything?
No, I didn't know anything going into it. I had a conversation. The initial thing with all of us was, Wes, losing Wes and how much he meant to all of us. He was such an important figure in my life as an actor, but as a person as well, just as a human. So yeah, but I love playing the role of Dewey, so I really wanted to be a part of it. I was the first one to sign on. I knew that would kind of drag the others.
You're the worm on the hook, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's amazing. This was kind of, it was Dewey, but there was so many layers to this character, and in this film, I was really moved by him. And And what was the dialogue that you guys were having with each other to sort of find that? Because it was the same Dewey, like in the text message moment, you know, which is amazing, but there's also like, there's Dewey the survivor, and there's Dewey who has PTSD, and Dewey who's going through so much loss and pain, and that was a really important and powerful layer to the character, and I'm just wondering what that process was like between you guys.
Yeah, it was challenging. I mean, it's such a strange film because it's lasted 25 years and it's sort of tracked the course of my life in that time period. So my daughter Coco was here. She saw the film for the first time. Well, you know, that was just exciting for her to see parents on screen. You know. But there were just elements about it that I had some issues with. You know, some of it got cut out, so it wasn't as big a deal as when I first read it. So, you know, he was much more of a drinker in the original script. I was like, oh, it kind of feels a little, like some of the problems I'd gone through in the past. So I was like, that just doesn't seem like Dewey. Like, he can be depressed, but he doesn't have to be like a boozer. He can totally, like, his life didn't work out, but it got a good line. I mean, it got the good, you know, that cut deep line.
That was great.
Which,
that was a David improv.
It was amazing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was all you.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it was real. There were a couple moments that I was sad not to see. There's another moment when I was sitting down and Heather's character said again, "Oh, say hi to," and I was like, "Oh, again, not married, not married anymore," kind of thing. Just because that's life, but.
I mean, did everybody kind of have like did everyone come with their sort of, their list of like, I need these things to come back into this franchise?
I mean, everybody had thoughts.
Yeah.
All of which got incorporated, and we had a lot of talks about that with Dewey, and we had a lot of talks with Nat and Courtney about it as well. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, us as the kind of new kids on the block really relied on the three of them, on you, to kind of help us find our footing in the Scream world, and, you know, it was just invaluable. And a lot of it got worked into the script. I'd say most of it.
I don't know. My experience with the horror fans is that they're the sweetest people in the world.
They usually
you
are.
know, when you meet them at the
Agreed.
when you meet them at the conventions or wherever, just out. So I don't know. Life's complicated. People are complicated. We all have our stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about anything.
Yeah, and we hope the movie never comes off as mean-spirited, because that was never the goal, you know. And that was something that Guy and Jamie did so well in the script, is starting that conversation. And I think part of what got really interesting for us is that we are literally fans making the new Scream. So there was this really intense kind of meta thing happening throughout the process, where we kind of felt like we were, you know, without killing people, we were in that position of like, well, here's our version of it, and we're doing our thing. And, you know, it was, I mean, as Scream has always been, it was a very meta experience, and that toxic fandom conversation was something that was just fun to kind of have and let the movie have. And, you know, we always approach it as we're a part of that conversation because we are movie fans above all. So, you know, we're a part of it, and that's like the fun of why I think it's so fun to talk about it.
Kevin? Yes, Chris. Toxic fandom doesn't matter.
You know, I haven't had any. I mean, I've had, you know, the occasional stalker, but in terms of fans, no, it's been nothing but a blessed experience. They're so lovely, you know. So it's nice to do something that has lived on this long, and people still seem to dig it, and still, you know, they come up to you and go, "Oh, it's my favorite scary movie," and then now it's just, "Hey, it's my mom's favorite scary movie."
So, to that end, way back when you wrote the first film, did you ever imagine that it would get this far, that there would be this many films and that this kind of an audience? Could you even imagine that?
Never in my wildest dreams. You know, I wrote this script out of desperation. I was broke, I was hungry, I had bills to pay. It was really that struggling writer, and I had no money at all, and I was out of oodles and noodles, and I really wrote it out of desperation. And it poured out of me in like 3 days, to be honest. And I did an outline, but the outline was 2 weeks, and then I wrote, I was moving. And the script I wrote over those 3 days is, you know, give or take, I would say 90% of what we shot.
Why do you think people have come back over and over again? What do you think is sort of the magic of this particular franchise?
You know, it's so interesting because I can never understand what the zeitgeist is. I never really understand what's going to work until it works, and then you hit the zeitgeist. And when this movie first came out, I think the timing of it was absolutely perfect, because horror movies were in the toilet. No one was making this type of film, and I was frustrated by it because I love slasher films. I always have. And I wanted to write the movie I wanted to see. And so I did, and I really utilized my knowledge of horror films just like anybody would. And I wanted to put a real teenager who had actually seen all the horror movies in a real horrific experience.
Yeah,
and it worked.
It's interesting because I've read a criticism that like the first Scream, because it was so meta and because it examined the genre so acutely and specifically, that it was sort of like the death of the traditional slasher film. But when I saw the movie, I remember thinking, A, it's a love letter to the genre, and that it actually was able to it was a rebirth to me. And is that sort of the sentiment? I imagine it's the sentiment of most fans, but is that something that you kind of felt from people?
That is exactly what I felt, and watching this film, I feel it again. And because I really do love this movie, and I think they did a great job. And my hope is that this is a rebirth, because it's been a long time since we did Scream 4. So this new one, I'm hoping is it will just start the lead the path down so that there's more.
Me too. One other thing that I think was a real standout in the movie was that you guys ended up with 4 final girls. Like, that was super fucking cool, and it was something that I remember when I saw the film for the first time, I was so focused on it. Was that always the design? Was that always the plan, or was someone else maybe supposed to die, or?
That was in the script that we read. It was exactly that. And there was something, I remember reading it for the first time, and we all kind of had that same reaction that you had. We were like, that's fucking cool. Like
the first time I read the script, I loved it, because I instantly felt the sisterhood between Sam and Tara and Sydney and Gail. And that parallel, worked. I thought it worked beautifully. It was on the page, and it made it to the screen beautifully.
Yeah. So, Easter eggs. Were they in there? Were there a bunch of them? Were there tons of them? Like, are they everywhere?
There are tons. There are so many. Yeah. And
are there any favorites you want to mention, or are we trying to keep that secret?
Oh man.
I know Kirby was definitely a big one.
That YouTube page where Kirby is, that is like Easter egg central. Every single thing on there is designed to have fun if you're looking for it. And the Kirby one was a really big one. We love Kirby too, and we were like, here's our chance to let her live. So Kirby lives.
Kirby lives. That's amazing.
Sorry, Kevin.
No, I'm all for it. Let's do it.
I
mean, if you remember correctly, in Scream 1, Dewey died.
True.
And Wes had the smarts to shoot it one other way. And so he lived.
Smart.
Am I wrong, David? Isn't that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Very smart. We're glad that you did that. That would have been a real bummer.
Well, through the whole process, we fell in love with Dewey, and we fell in love with David, and then suddenly it just became the right thing to do.
Who has been your favorite Ghostface killer and why? Let's start with you.
Skeet and Matthew were just those two are just such incredible actors, such incredible guys in general. I mean, I don't mean to take away from everyone in this film, but they did a great job too. But just I don't know, the Skeet and Matthew, just getting to know them and just having known them for all these years, they're just so wonderful.
Man.
Same thing. I mean, I just think that they're so incredible in that first movie, and I think especially the whole arc they have, but that kitchen scene is, I think, my favorite scene. You know, one of my favorite scenes of all time in any movie. So, yeah, it's just incredible.
I'm gonna jump from that, only because they are great and they are wonderful. So whoever came afterward had a really high bar. And so I'm gonna go with Laurie Metcalf. And the reason I say that is you know, Skeet and Matt, first of all, they're the best actors to work with. The ad-libs that Matt did made me look so good. and I constantly thank him for that, and I saw it as a shout out. It was so wonderful and helping me look good. But Laurie Metcalf, it was a chance, it was such a bar for her to have to do. She had this big monologue at the end. We were in the middle of rewrites. I was sitting in the theater chair writing it on sides. She was sitting there next to me, and we were just trying to figure it out. And I wrote it 3 different ways, and she did it 3 different ways, and then she did it 10 different ways. She just impressed me in the moment. And her commitment and her ability and her talent and her skill. I'm gonna go with Laurie Metcalf only because you guys said it.
If you ever see Matt Lillard at a horror convention, you'll see the longest line of everyone, and he's taking like 10 minutes with each person, and he's sitting, he's hugging them. He's just like
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I think we're out of time, guys. Please give it up for.
Now tonight's opening reception is from 6 to 9, and we're here a little bit early. It's kind of nice little ambiance to this place. Waiting with a few people outside for this place to open up. And here's the sign, SugarMynt Gallery Scream Exhibit, now through February 6th. If you want some more information on it, sugarmynt.com, that's M-Y-N-T. I like over here, there's a little Ghostface right there at the beginning of the web address. So 2 things right off the bat. Standing out here on the street, I can already hear that they're blasting music in there. In fact, it's social distortion. So more than likely, going in there with the cameras, I'm not gonna be able to talk or really show certain things because of the music. I'm gonna have to cut the audio and put something on top of it. I hate doing things like that, but it's all right. For the most part, this whole thing is an art show with local artists submitting Scream-themed pieces. So it could work out kind of good, of just showing like a montage of stuff with some music added to it, maybe some sound clips from the movies. We shall see. I'm gonna get creative. with that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time in South Pasadena for a rather small horror art show devoted to Scream and the fans who love Scream. One of the things I love about this, it's all local artists making this. SugarMynt Gallery, if you're in the area, check it out. All the stuff that you saw on there will be, if I'm not mistaken, will be for sale on the website starting tomorrow. So if you found anything interesting that you love, give it a look. With that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time to South Pasadena. And as always, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.